Hello and welcome back to Stop and Go F1 for this, our roundup of Formula 1 testing day 1 for 2025. A testing day where the cars seemed to be very reliable on track. It was in fact the track that was not reliable. We'll get into all of that and more in this video. Before we do, remember to like and subscribe. And a huge shout out to our members: Dakota, The Joyous James, Robin Myers, Cinnamon Strudel, Michael Johnson, and F. There you go. We've got a few more members now, so I'm trying to remember all of them. If you want to become a member, link in the description down below. There's multiple tiers. It's a whole thing. But let's get into testing. And before we do, an admission of guilt. Because as I'm recording this, testing hasn't actually ended. As I'm sat here right now, there are 49 minutes left of testing, but I have to leave here in 49 minutes. So it was either I record a video now or record it in the middle of the night when I get back. So I thought what I'll do, I've watched all of testing. I've got the last 49 minutes on a screen here down to my right, so I can cover all of it. If anything does happen in the next 48 minutes now, and, it's big and I don't cover it, that's why we'll cover it tomorrow, unless I see it out the corner of my eye. But I can talk about everything else that we have seen. Of course, we're back tomorrow and the day after that to talk all things testing day 2, day 3, and I'm here for the entire thing. So, we should cover everything that needs covering. But with that being said, what we've received today from testing really hasn't truly opened my eyes more than where I was this time yesterday, because I still feel we are in an incredibly close grid. I don't feel I can say which teams are the fastest, which teams are the slowest. We'll go through all the teams in a second here, but it is very, very close between everybody. The big headline news, of course, is the power cut that has just ended as I'm recording this. There was a power cut on the grid. The lights went off in the pit lane and on the track, plunging us into darkness. I've dropped my pen. I've got another pen. Giving us a red flag for about an hour, and that was the main big thing. We didn't expect reliability of the cars to be an issue here because we're so far into this technical regulation set for these cars that reliability isn't going to be an issue. This time next year, when we have the new engines and the new cars, I expect that reliability will be a bit more of an issue. But so far, the cars have ran pretty much perfectly. No breakdowns on track for sure at this point of testing. But yes, so what have we got? Let's start at the back. Let's start with Sauber. Now, Sauber had Hulkenberg in the morning, Gabriel Bortoleto in the afternoon. Sauber part of the very first on-track battle of the year. Alex Albon tries to go for an overtake on Hulkenberg into turn 1. Hulkenberg able to block it. That was possibly the only real positive of Sauber's day so far. Hulkenberg came out of the car at one point and was not looking too happy. There wasn't many smiling faces in the Sauber garage when it would be cut to. When Bortoleto came in the afternoon, it would take him quite a while to... Well, he hasn't actually set a lap time yet. It took him an hour and 10 minutes to actually get the car out of the pits. And now, as I'm recording this, right now, he has just set his first lap time of the day with 46 minutes left to go. And now I know that's been interrupted by the red flag, but still, he's only put in 20 laps this afternoon. And all of them, apart from the one he's just set, have been those out laps, going out, coming back in, not setting the times. So on the whole here, Hulkenberg finished... the morning session in 9th place, which has dropped down now to 16th. He had 55 laps on the board. Gabriel Bortoleto's just gone up to 18th with 20 laps on the board. Of course, as we always have to say, lap times don't matter in F1 testing, but that is a concern for me for Sauber, who I thought would be in a better place this year than they were last year. seems like there's still some maybe technical gremlins there that they'll be looking to fix throughout the weekend. Moving across to Williams now, Albon in the morning, Sainz in the afternoon. It took Albon 59 minutes to set a lap time. They are one of the two teams on the grid who are using a modified version of last year's chassis in this year's car. So they're trying to save a bit of money there. For me personally, that points not only to saving money in the cost cap era, but also points to they're one of the teams who are like, we don't really care how this season goes. We're focusing fully on 2026. And that was very much backed up by what James Vowles said at their launch back a couple of weeks ago in Silverstone. At the end of the morning session, Alex Albon was in third place, which was a great lap time from him. Not the lap times matter, of course. 63 laps on the day for him. So it went very well for Williams. What we saw for a lot of the teams, really, is they just went quite well. All the lap times were very similar, apart from a handful of drivers. They all got decent lap times in, apart from a handful of drivers. It was just a steady day of practice until the lights went out. Which, is what you want for these teams. And on a day one like this, it's not necessarily about performance. It's just about making sure everything works. And for most of the teams, it does. Carlos Sainz came in the afternoon. He is currently sitting 6th, so he's just put a new lap time in now. He has 28 laps on the board, which for the guys in the afternoon is, I think, maybe the highest of anybody, because all the guys in the morning are in the 60, 70 region. So Williams getting some decent laps in despite interruptions. Across to Racing Bulls now, a bit more of a difficult day for them. Yuki Tsunoda in there in the morning, Isaac Hadjar in there in the afternoon, and it looks like it's quite a tricky car. Lots of oversteer, lots of little snaps here and there. Yuki Tsunoda did get a lot of laps in. In the end, how many laps did he get? It was 78 laps on the day for Yuki Tsunoda in the morning. Isaac Hadjar, who was the first guy out in the afternoon, and as we always see with testing, the teams and the drivers always complain, we don't have enough testing time, but then the afternoon session starts, and we have to wait half an hour for them to get out of the garage. So they don't have enough testing time, but they can't be bothered to go out straight away. But Hadjar was out there in the afternoon. He did have a big spin coming out of Turn 4. Turn 4 catching quite a few people out, not just Hadjar, but I think Hamilton struggled with it in the morning, as did both Red Bull drivers, actually, in the main Red Bull team. That could possibly be just because that is an open part of the track, and it was quite high winds today as well, which we know can affect these cars quite badly. So there was a big spin out of Turn 4 for Hadjar at that point. At the end of the morning session, Yuki Tsunoda was in 4th place, not that lap times matter, 77 laps as we've already said. Tsunoda has fallen down to P10, but that's to be expected because the track will evolve and get quicker, so the morning times aren't really comparable to the afternoon times because the afternoon times are on a better track, if you will. Isaac Hadjar, he is currently sitting 13th with his time, and he's put in 38 laps, so some decent laps there for Isaac Hadjar as well, doing well in the afternoon session, apart from that big spin. Across to Haas now, and Haas have a different approach to testing. It's very much what they did last year, where they're just very happy to just sit back and just get the laps in. They're not looking for times. You look on the leaderboard, they're currently 19th and 20th. They're 3 and 4 seconds off the pace. It looks dreadful, but they seem pretty confident. This is the exact same thing they did last year. They were never really on the pace of anyone else in testing, but then when it came to race day, they looked pretty good. So it worked last year. They're trying it again this year. Ollie Behrman was in the morning, Esteban Ocon in the afternoon. Behrman finished last of all the guys in the morning session. Ocon is currently 19th. Ollie Behrman 4.6 seconds off, Ocon 3 seconds off, but again, lap times don't matter in testing. Esteban Ocon has got 41 laps in, Ollie Behrman 72, so that's really all you need to know about them. They're just going for that reliability, they're getting their race rounds in. I think Ollie Behrman was the first driver of the day to get to the same amount of laps that it would be in the Bahrain Grand Prix, so they seem pretty happy. Things all good in the Haas camp. Across to Alpine now, and they, like Williams, are a team who are using last year's chassis again, a modified version, firstly to save a bit of cash, but also because maybe they're not as invested in this year as they would personally proclaim to everyone at the minute. Jack Doohan in the morning, Pierre Gasly in the afternoon. Little lockups here and there, and it was a bit of a twitchy car. But Gasly is able to get some pace from it. Gasly, at the early points of the morning session, he only had about 9 laps, but he was 0.015 off of Kimi Antonelli's time, which was the fastest time of the day at that point. But we could say difference between morning and afternoon. He was on the track at the same time as Max Verstappen was, and was 0.01 faster than Max, although Max was on hard tyres, and we don't know engine modes, fuel loads, and track times don't matter, of course. At the end of the morning session, Jack Doohan was in 6th, 68 laps on the board. Pierre Gasly is currently sitting 5th with 33 laps on the board for him. So going well for Alpine. And I saw a little snippet of an interview that Gasly did where he says they feel far more confident this year than they did this time last year, where they were by far the worst team on the grid. Cross to Aston. And Aston are the first of the teams who I think have had a bad day. There are little things here and there, like, Racing Bulls, they weren't great in terms of their car looks a bit twitchy, as does the Alpine, but they got their laps in, and they got some okay times in. Aston are the first team where I go, yeah, that wasn't great. So we had Fernando Alonso in the morning, Lance Stroll in the afternoon. Aston Martin got the first F1 lockup of the year, so that's something they can celebrate there. But Fernando Alonso spent a lot of time in the pits. There's consistent, it seems like they were saying setup changes, but just a lot of time in the pits. By the time we were halfway through the morning session, he had only set 19 laps, which was about 10, 11, 12 laps less than the second least person. So they were really quite behind. At the end of the morning session, Alonso was 7th with 46 laps on the board, the least of anyone in the morning session. Lance Stroll is currently sitting 17th on the leaderboard with 21 laps. The only person who has less laps than Lance Stroll right now is Lando Norris, and we'll talk more about him in a second. But yeah, Aston Martin, definitely a team looking forward who need to get more laps in because they are quite behind in comparison to everyone else. It's a year which people are already quite suspicious that they're throwing away already to focus on 2026, so maybe they don't care, maybe this car won't be great, but not looking good for Aston. Although the next team is Mercedes, a team for me who have had the best day out of anyone. All my notes for them are positive. Antonelli was the first out this morning. Car looked really smooth. They were the first to get 50 laps on the board. They were the fastest of the morning. George Russell came in the afternoon. He was able to beat Antonelli's time. He got a 1 minute 31.002, which is faster than any time that was set in day one of testing last year. His time would eventually be beaten by Charles Leclerc, more on that in a little bit. But both Mercedes cars look smooth, no real issues for them at all in the day. They just got out there and just did their programs. Kimi Antonelli finished the morning in first place, 78 laps on the board, the most of anyone in the morning session. And as we sit here right now, George Russell is in P2 with 26 laps on the board. So a really good day for Mercedes, a team which I have not heard any hype about at all. We talked about, don't think we talked about them yesterday, but all the eyes of the world are on McLaren and Ferrari going into these testing sessions, going into the first race of the year. The only thing you hear about Mercedes at the minute is that Lewis Hamilton is no longer there, but this has been a very good first day for them. They are, I feel, ones to keep an eye on because their car just looks smooth, it looks fast. I think Antonelli looks very good. They are the stars of testing day one for me. Moving on to Red Bull, Liam Lawson in the morning and the world champion Max Verstappen in the afternoon. And this is where I join the story of testing day one, because there was a huge discussion this morning on commentary about who is and who isn't a rookie. For some people, it's easy. Hadjar, no races, rookie. Same with Antonelli, same with, Doohan's got one, so he's Doohan a rookie. Who knows, Bortoleto, no races, so he's a rookie. But then Doohan's got one race under his belt, and then Behrman has 3 races as well. And then Liam Lawson this is his first start of a season, but he has 11 races that he's taken part in. So the questions were being asked, who counts as a rookie and who doesn't count as a rookie? And they were saying that Liam Lawson counts as a rookie because this is his first full season, the season that he's starting properly. This is his rookie season. So I was hearing this and I thought, you know what? I'm going to post a tweet, not thinking anything of it. So I tweeted David Croft saying, if Liam Lawson counts as a rookie, so does Karun Chandhok, because they both have 11 races and they both never completed a full season. So Karun Chandhok, the comeback is on, you can still be Rookie of the Year. It was something to those words, basically saying, look, if Liam Lawson's a rookie, so is Karun Chandhok, who's sky higher as an F1 analyst for his F1 racing experience. And I just put it out there into the world and didn't expect to hear anything back, because that's normally how it works when you put things out into the world. And then I'm sitting there and I hear David Croft say my full name, read out the tweet, and then wet himself laughing for about a minute with him and Natalie Pinkham just laughing to themselves. I then clipped it and put it on, it's on my YouTube Shorts, it's on TikTok, it's all that kind of stuff. It's just been blowing up all day. So this is my part of testing this year, and my influence on Formula One this year is that one tweet. I will not be able to make anything in the next year that will match the impact that one tweet has had. Apologies for Karun Chandhok for dragging your legacy in Formula One there, but he seemed to take it quite well. He replied saying that the comeback is on, then posted a picture of himself in the gym looking real jacked, brother. So, sorry, Karun. Sorry about that. But people seemed to like it. People thought it was funny. But there you go. Liam Lawson is not a rookie. Neither is Karun Chandhok. Back to the Red Bull, though. And it's the same story again for me in Red Bull, which is that they have built a car which Max Verstappen is going to love. When he can get it under control, that is going to be great for him. The issue is they have another driver who is not Max Verstappen, and he seemed to struggle quite a bit. Very twitchy throughout the morning, lots of oversteer, especially into turn 4, which is the same as what happened to Hajar in the afternoon. Then, the first real big spin of the day came from Liam Lawson, lost the rear end going into turn 2, then clipped the curb, full-on spin, nearly went into the gravel, able to save it, and just went from there. He did end the morning session in second place, had 58 laps on the board, so overall looking okay for Lawson and Red Bull. Verstappen comes in the afternoon, and his laps looked great. There were moments where he seems to be, losing it maybe a little bit, but overall was far more in control than Lawson was. But we know that he likes those kind of cars, which are a bit twitchy on the rear end. That's how he kind of likes it. So with Verstappen, he went out on the hard tyres, and on his first few laps, he went within 0.016 of Antonelli's time. So I have no worries right now about Max Verstappen's performance this year. I think he's going to be there or thereabouts. He should hopefully be able to challenge for that 5th world title in a row. I do have worries about Liam Lawson, because this looks like a car for Verstappen, which for some reason no one else can drive, and when that happens, the world turns against you and you're hunted down until you leave the sport. At one point, though, there was a lot of smoke in the Red Bull garage. They seemed to think it was just oil maybe on the engine when they were starting it up, but it didn't look great. Verstappen is currently 4th on the timing sheets with 42 laps for him. And then, as I said, Liam Lawson was 2nd. He is now 8th with 58 laps. So we're still getting some decent laps in there for them. A good building block to build the rest of the week on for Red Bull. Hopefully improvement from here. But yeah, looks like one of those cars again where it's a tricky one, but if you can get on top of it, it should be pretty good. Ferrari now, and I haven't really got many notes for them, because much like every other team, for them it was just a very straightforward day. They got in the car, they did their stuff, they went home. So Lewis Hamilton in the morning, Charles Leclerc in the afternoon. A little bit twitchy for Hamilton in the morning, but again, that could have been the wind again. It was in that turn 4 where they were experiencing those high winds. So, could be the wind, but overall looked pretty good. Lewis Hamilton finished the morning session in 5th with 70 laps for him. Charles Leclerc currently topping the day with a 1:30.878. is, one second, I've written down all the important times in the front of my book. Has not beaten any of the important times so far. So, faster than day 1 was last year, but not touching day 2 or day 3 as of yet. Not that lap times matter. And Leclerc is just doing his 40th lap of the day. So, a very straightforward test for Ferrari thus far. They look quick. They look steady. They look like they are in a good place. But now it's time to talk about our Constructors' Champions, McLaren, who do not look like they're in a great place. I said this yesterday. McLaren have to do something huge here, which they haven't been able to do for the last 3 or 4 years, which is turn up at the start of the season with a car that works well. They have not done that in a very, very long time. There's always something that goes wrong, and today has not filled me with hope that it's about to all go right. So you had Piastri in the morning, Norris in the afternoon, and Piastri this morning was the last out of any of the drivers to set a lap time, so give him an hour and 20 minutes. Again, another car that looks quite twitchy. And then when the morning session finished, Piastri was 8th with 65 laps on the day. Sorry, 66 laps, just looking again there. So, got lots of laps in, wasn't really showing any true pace, was just like an okay day, but lost a lot of time to just being in the garage, much like Aston did. And then Lando Norris comes in the afternoon, and we've barely seen him. Even without all the lights going out and the red flag, we've barely seen him. Lots of changes to the car, lots of setup changes to the car. They say it's all planned and all part of the test, but after 2 hours of the morning session, Lando Norris finally set a lap time. He's only done 18 laps. As I sit here now, there is just under half an hour left on the day for testing, and Lando Norris has done 18 laps all afternoon. I know we have the red flag, but still, he's still not out on the track right now. He's in the pits again. So, it's not looking great. The lap time was a decent one. It went third. Not the lap times matter, of course. But there are huge question marks for me around McLaren as to what the hell is going on here. What are you doing with that car? Why do you need to have these massive setup changes? They are a team who have come out this year and been like, look, we're making drastic changes to our car. We're going to change things up. We're not resting on our laurels. We're going to be different. And now they're spending a hell of a lot of time in the garage trying to move things around, fix things, and change things. So it's concerning for me to be like, what's going on there? They do not seem to be putting their best foot forward. I could be very wrong. What could happen in the next 20 minutes or so is they all go great and they post a time which is seconds faster than everyone else. Not the lap times matter, of course, but there's concern for me around the McLaren team. So, if I was to say 2 teams who did well, 2 teams who need to do better going forward, my top 2 teams would be Ferrari and Mercedes. Bottom 2 would be McLaren and Aston Martin. Sauber in that mix as well. But definitely McLaren and Aston Martin are the 2 teams who I think tomorrow and Friday need to have better days, need to get more laps on the board, because having 19 laps from 4 hours for Lando Norris doesn't look good. I think they just extended the session. I'm just looking at the times here, and it says there's 1 hour, 26 minutes left. So I think they've added an additional hour to the session. So I will have no idea what's going on there because I won't be here. So we'll cover all that tomorrow because I imagine something huge will happen inevitably. But for now, this is all we got time for. Let me know your thoughts on testing day 1. We're back tomorrow for coverage of everything that happens in the next hour and 26 minutes, as well as everything that happens tomorrow as well. So all that to come on the channel. I will see you next time. Until then, have a good one. Goodbye.